My background before being an athlete, really, I was just a normal person, enjoyed their sport, local here in Ballarat, and I did an engineering degree and then a diploma in teaching. So I was teaching at a local secondary school, and running was taking priority, but at that time my main focus was just on my career in teaching. I always loved my sport, even as a young kid running around in suburban Wendouree. I remember my dad taking me down to Little Athletics and riding my bike down to the Northern Oval to play footy, and a friend of the family, Rex Hollyoake, was heavily involved in cricket. So I was always just active. I was always just a person who wanted to be involved in sport. I remember going out to a running event. Ballarat's got a really strong distance running culture because we had 5 running clubs, we've now got 4, and that competitive nature between the clubs meant there's a really strong cross-country and distance running scene here in Ballarat. And I remember going out to Burrumbeet to a running race, and I loved the environment, but I also liked it over team sports because it was all about me. So it was that personal effort, and if I ran well, I could pat myself on the back. If I didn't, I needed to work a bit harder. So that individual nature of running actually attracted me to the sport, which is really unusual. And it's sort of a little bit of what keeps me motivated now, because it's those personal challenges that I set myself, and I don't measure myself on other people. I just go as hard as I possibly can to get my best result. And so that's what's kept me competitive and keeps me motivated to jump out of bed every day and go for a run. Ballarat's one of the best places in the world to be a distance runner. We have such a variety of running places, and I remember when I was training twice a day, every day, only one day did I have to drive to a place. All of the others, so out of the 14 runs I was doing a week, 13 of them were from my back door with a variety of trails. So everyone thinks Lake Wendouree is where I spend most of my time, but we have so much variety here that's a part of most of my runs. But I run up in the forest that horseshoe Ballarat, so Woorong National Park, which was Canadian forest, Creswick State Forest that I run in. We've got back lanes, we've got the Yarrawee Trail, we've got places you can run fast, places you can run in the forest, places you can run slow and just enjoy the environment. And so you put all of that into the recipe and you actually build the perfect cake for being a distance runner. So the environment here in Ballarat, whilst chilly and cold, we are slightly at altitude as well, so there's those benefits as well that make Ballarat the perfect distance running location. If there was a student here who approached me, or I'd heard that was running pretty well, what my advice to them would be to join a group. Not so much, it doesn't have to be a running club, just a group of like-minded people. So runners of a similar age who you can share the social experience in. Because running, most of the time, I know it sounds weird, but most of the time we have a rule that most of your running training should be at conversation pace. So running with a group of people ensure that you're doing that because you're holding a conversation. So, and just that camaraderie. I mean, most of my friends now come from running interactions and just catching up with them on runs. So you build some great friendships. So that's the most important thing. To actually be in the moment a bit more. So if you have a success, you win the local school event, the local district event, enjoy that moment, because what will happen, someone will go, oh, you got a bright future, you could be the next Steve Moneghetti. Don't get all caught up in that, because that's way in the future and we don't know how that's going to play out. So just enjoy the moment, because I think people sometimes they forget to just enjoy the now and they really project forward saying, oh, I'm going to go to the Olympics and all that, which is fine, but that's a bit further down the track. So just enjoy the moment right now and enjoy those little successes you have along the way. I had lots of successes, but they're all building to an ultimate success. And I sometimes wish I had just enjoyed the benchmark events along the way, that they were significant in themselves. For someone like me who's just a pretty normal kid from, as I say, suburban Wendouree, and went here to St Pat's and was just, seen to be just a normal student. For me to be able then to discover something that obviously I was very good at, distance running, and then to be able to project that through to do it at the highest level that you possibly can on the planet is a very powerful thing. So, you work really hard sort of independently by yourself in all the training you're doing, and it can be pretty lonely. You're running around and doing all this hard training, and then to be able to publicly display and get the accolades of being selected in an Australian team to wear an Australian singlet is one of the greatest moments of your life, to be able to follow a journey through and to reach the pinnacle of that specific activity or specific thing in your life that you've chosen to be successful at, and to follow that through is so satisfying. And I remember crossing the line at my first Olympic Games in Seoul in 1988 and coming around the bend and crossing that line and knowing that from that day forward I could call myself an Olympian. No one could ever take that away from me, was just so satisfying, and made all the years of lonely running around the streets of Ballarat so much worthwhile. My time here at St Pat's, was quite significant in my development. I was a young kid with probably pretty low self-esteem. I was just I'd sit up the back and hope that the brothers or the teachers wouldn't ask me any questions, and just beavering away doing my work. But I didn't really have a lot of confidence in my own ability academically. I was quite strong academically, but I never kind of thought of myself as being successful at anything. So when my running started taking off, we'd have the Monday morning assembly and we'd sort of go through all the administrative stuff, and then they might say, oh, and by the way, Steve Moneghetti won the Ballarat under 16 cross-country race on the weekend. And suddenly I just noticed that people were treating me differently, and I just felt a bit more confident in my ability to talk and be engaged in conversations within the school environment, and that translated to other aspects of my life, and I've been able to carry that forward. And now obviously I talk, I have leadership positions, and I mentor a lot of younger people. So for me to have been able to go on that journey, which I think that the seed was planted here at St Pat's, so it was a pretty important period in my life to grow my confidence through my running, but in the environment that the school here provided. Someone who's had a remarkable effect on my career and was very important in the development of my running was a person who went to St Pat's here, and he was a local physio in Ballarat from Newington Physiotherapy, Peter Howley, and early on I was getting some injuries, and he quite quickly, he's pretty astute, and he quite quickly realised that, oh look, you're running long distance events, you run a race, you get injured, you come and see me, I fix you, you go off and you run another event, you get injured, there's a cycle forming here. Look, why don't we try to change this around a little bit, where you come and see me regularly, we do some treatment, make sure you're ready to go, and hopefully rather than getting that cycle of getting injured, we can prevent that happening. And I thought, gee, sounds good to me. So I started seeing him twice a week, and I saw him twice a week basically right through my professional career. And to give you an example of how important he was, I remember I was invited to the London Marathon, and they said, we'll give you either a couple of economy airfares or you can fly business class. And I said, no, I'm happy to fly economy and take someone with me. And they said, who would you like to take? And she was almost about to be my wife, Tanya, my coach, my training buddies, my family. No, I took Pete Howley, my physio, because he was so important and such an integral part of my running success and my preparation leading into a race. And I ran well, finished second in the London Marathon, so it all worked out well. And he travelled with me for 10 to 15 years, and we've become great friends, and we still catch up regularly. I think some of the values that I learned here at St Pat's, I think, resilience. I was tested. I was just a quiet little kid, and I remember, as I mentioned, I didn't have a lot of confidence, so that was often tested. So I think I grew over my time here at the college through being pushed a little bit, and there was an expectation that, and as I mentioned, I was academically pretty smart when I was in the younger forms, but as I got a bit older, my sporting success took over from my academic studies, so there was a bit of a balance there. So I think that resilience was really valuable at the time, and just how to deal with people. I've moved into administrative positions, leadership positions, and the college, allowed me to do that. I was an individual runner, but then I'd come to school and I was running in the school team, and then I became captain of the athletics team and captain of the cross country. So that leadership and that being a part of a team was really established here, and that became integral for me. I was captain of the Australian Olympic team and chef de mission of Commonwealth Games teams. No doubt that being a part of the team at a young age and the lessons I learned from that allowed me to take on those leadership positions later in my career. I think life back when I was at school was a little bit different, and we obviously there was the discipline side of it, but I think there was just the teachers were a bit, I wouldn't want to say hard, but the environment there was an expectation. You were at St Pat's and you were there to learn and give a good account of yourself, and I quite liked that. The teachers I look back and remember fondly, Brother Miller, Brother Smith and the brothers who were here, they were hard, but they were firm, but they were fair. And I kind of liked that there were the teachers who I was had a bit more of a sort of a casual relationship, friendly and got on well with, and we joke around. But then I remember now, it's the brothers who were hard on me, but I know that they had my best interests at heart. And that's I'm not sure, now you're not allowed to be too hard, and I think back then being just a little bit firmer and hard, actually, I benefited from that. I needed to be pushed and tested a bit more, and I think the environment that I grew up in back then in the 70s here at St Pat's actually was really good, because it just set me a bit of a strong morals, and you've got to work hard in life to achieve success. It doesn't come easy, so get on with it, work hard, and you'll reap the benefits of that. You'll get the rewards from your hard work. What do I miss about the college? I think one of the things that's interesting, you mentioned about one of the things that we could do, we went for a run at lunchtime. You probably couldn't do that now. We'd run with Tony Benson, who was teaching here. We'd go for a run at lunchtime, and just that camaraderie that, and I'd run with people from different levels. So it wasn't just the people, if I was in I used to say form, so if I was in, year 8 as it is now, we'd go for a run and there'd be people from year 9 and 10. So we sort of crossed classes a bit more then, and we'd run with the teachers. So, that camaraderie, I think I built some friendships at the college that have stayed with me forever. And, just recently we had a catch up down the Western District, just went away for a weekend with a few of the boys that I went to school with here. And we've all moved on, we've all got families, we're all, some are more successful than others, some are just having a go, and it was great that we could all just catch up in a really friendly way and have a drink and have a chat and reminisce about where our lives have taken us, but also reminisce about our good times we had back here at school. What don't I miss? Well, I don't miss, because I was quite academic early, and as I was Dux of year 7, and then sort of I was in the prizes year 8 and 9. But as I got older, a lot of other students jumped over me, and there was an expectation that I need to work a bit harder on my academic studies. So I don't miss that sort of pressure to be intelligent and clever and have to do all this extra study and homework, because I came to school to learn, and then when I left school, I wanted to go running and catch up with my mates, and I wasn't as studious out of school hours, because I thought, well, that's school done, now I'll get on with other aspects of my life. So that academic expectation, I snuck through year 12. I didn't have great results. I passed everything, but I got through and got into engineering, as it turned out, so it all worked out well. But that homework and that academic expectation was probably something that I didn't enjoy. I just immersed myself in school life rather than pushing myself too hard. I think I try and live the values of the Edmund Rice way generally in my life, but probably, compassion and service are a couple that, my life now basically it's community service. I'm on a couple of boards. I am in leadership positions, but a lot of them are voluntary, and even if I'm paid, it's a modest amount for my time. So what I do is hopefully make the community that I'm a part of a better place to live. So my service to the community is probably, what I'm proud of and what, I will be remembered for, to be honest. So, I'm ambassador for everything. I'm on a couple of boards. As you know, I've been chef de mission of Australian teams. I've been on the Sports Commission. I'm race director of a race that's raised over $20 million for the Good Friday Appeal, the Royal Children's Hospital. So a lot of those areas of my life that, and I don't need to promote it or boast about it, but I'm asked to do lots of things, and I enjoy giving back to the community because I think, it's a community that my family lives in, that we're a part of. So if I can help improve that, then everyone benefits, and it's a good outcome all around. The relationships I've formed, as I say, I keep in contact with a few of the students that I grew up with and spent time with here at St Pat's. And then externally, one of the things that I do, I come back to the college for our mental breakfast, which is a men's focus on men's mental health. And that's something that, whilst it's a very serious cause and we do it for all the right reasons, it's a terrific way to keep engaged with the college, and that really involves the college community. So for me, that's one way that I give back but stay connected. And obviously then Pete Howley, who I mentioned earlier, who's president of the Old Boys and has a strong connection with the college. So through those connections, I always like to think I can pop back to the college anytime because I feel very welcome here. For someone who does want to reconnect with the college, be active as an alumni. Make sure we do have your details. If you've got an email address to keep. And sometimes people want the college to reach out to you. Well, the college has thousands of students that come through here every year. So make it easy for the college by engaging. Send an email through. If you're in Ballarat, pop in, say good day. So make sure those communication channels are open. I think that's the most important thing. And then, better to have too much information coming through, and something like the mental health breakfast, it's a good opportunity to get a table, come along, engage with the activities that the college are doing so you're up to date with what's happening here currently. And I think that's probably the way I've been able to stay engaged with the school. Congratulations to the school. 130 years of history is an amazing tradition, and we all think about the tradition. I have a little sort of saying that I use. We learn from the history, we live in the present moment, and then we plan for the future. And if we don't respect and acknowledge history and learn from it, then we're missing a great opportunity. So something's happened at this school over those 130 years that have allowed it to build the reputation that it has. And the number of people who have come through the school's doors, so much experience has come through, so much learning's happened on this site. So it's the buildings. You often think of 130 years and you think of the buildings and the structures and the changes and the developments and the ovals. What I think about is the people who have come through the school and what they've then, they've moved all around the world and been able to provide learnings to the rest of the world, through their time spent here at the college. So that's a tradition that we carry forward, and we should celebrate that. And, you learn from that in what you do every day, but you respect it, you appreciate it, and you learn from it. I think the faith and the messages that I learnt through the school, you know, about the character building of my time here has served me really well. And you don't think of it at the time. So you're at school and, you know, you're doing a lot of, you're learning a lot of things along the journey, and you're carrying those messages with you. You don't notice it at the time, but they're the things that develop you as a person, and they're the attributes that you carry with you for the rest of your life, and they come out in various ways. Like I say, for me, it's, you know, in the leadership and in the service back to the community. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was learning them on the journey as I was going through my secondary years here at St Pat's. So to be able to carry those forward, you know, for me, that's the most important thing, is to be able to think, well, that seed was planted when I was back at St Pat's, and then to be able to see that grow into a flower, or to blossom, and for me to be able to contribute back in the way that I have, that's a pretty powerful message. You know, I remember my time fondly at St Pat's, and I came here to learn, but I learnt so many life lessons in being a part of the college community. And, you know, you sometimes think of all the academic and sporting successes that I've been able to have, and to go on to be, you know, a well-known Australian. And yet at school here I was treated no differently to anyone else, and I liked that I was just a normal kid having a go, and I, you know, learnt and had the opportunity to develop a set of morals that have stayed with me for the rest of my life, and for that I'm very grateful.